Hello, my name is Luis Antunes, and I'm going to talk about my myths. My first myth is money can't buy happiness. To begin with, I feel this is technically like a balanced thing. Many people argue that money does bring happiness, and then many people say that happiness cannot um, be bought. You know, so to begin with, let me start off with one of my research. So this author goes by Bruce and his team. They created this journal called "Money Does Not Buy Happiness," or does it? So the author argues wealthy confers economic security. It enables one to tide over bad times, at least for a while. It also enables one to borrow money both to cope with bad times and for investments purposes. So this is basically called economic security mechanism, which is basically like the ability to cope, um, like just cope with financial stress, helping it to reduce. There's also another thing. Many people doesn't really find happiness um, the same way as me towards you. For me, happiness could be brought by playing sports, and maybe for you guys, happiness could be brought by just being with family or just having a super nice car and you just modify it like however you want, or just you being happy with nature. Um, this is something that actually got brought by a research that I have found. Um, Around 75,000 is the annual income that suggests that um, there's is not really any significant improvement in daily emotional experiences, suggesting that the factor over over time is not played by income but from emotional well-being. So like just what I just said, nature is not something that you could buy. You cannot buy a whole forest. I mean, yes, you can, but like, who's really gonna do that? Because it's just a lot of maintenance, and nature should just stay there. Because it's a cycle. The cycle of life. And what this points out is that money can be helped um, in bringing happiness, because who wouldn't want to have money? They with that money they could build their own company, which could be their dream. Or they could buy their dream house, or they could buy their dream car. And not worry about anything, just being happy that they have something. And this is something that is actually brought up. um, there's a limit with how much money you could possibly be happy about, because at the end of the day, happiness is brought into our lives in different manners, in different ways. So money is just part of our happiness, which concludes that our conclusion could be announced, which I feel is appropriate here because money can contribute to happiness up to one point. There's a limit, and so for me, this claim seems to be a possible but oversimplified. And with my second myth is being that each person has a significant learning style, and this is a really good topic to talk about. To begin with, COVID period. I feel many people really found, I guess, their learning style by either taking on their own pace, being online, or they learn better in person because they get support from class. But I feel like this is technically called something called, I through my research, um, sensory modality, which is basically stuff that are like that our body does. So like visual learning, physical learning, and also just hearing. You know, so many people really, I guess, find this to be a learning style. But at the end of the day, there's something else about this, which is called cognitive psychology, which this author has identified that numerous factors that influence learning, such as acquired knowledge and the structure of information and conditions of practice. But there is no credible evidence that matching instruction to a sensory modality improves learning. So basically, at the end of the result, people have different ways of memorizing things, and sensory modality isn't really a way for people to memorize. But in other words, as a result, this myth of learning styles would be considered busted because people have a prior knowledge, like from an experienced teacher, they could literally teach them how to memorize topics and just have the same results as another person. It's just really up to the student if they want to really memorize something, not how they learn. Thank you.